Welcome to the Animating in Threes drinking game. Take a shot whenever Ben says, but he's only 12 years old. Ding! Half-price pancakes.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Animating in threes!
Hey, we're not doing that yet.
Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Stefan.
Oh, God.
And he's Michael.
He's Michael.
And welcome to
Animating in Threes.
You said it before so we can edit it in.
Oh, I did.
But I'm going to be editing this week, so we're not going to, because I can't.
Come on, Stefan, you can do it.
This week's going to be tough.
What, for me or for you?
No, just what we're talking about.
Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, well. Anyway, we are a podcast where three guys just analyze an animated movie or show, and then we tell you about it from an animator's perspective, even though, as I said before, Michael is not an animator.
No.
That's actually being a thing where
Nor do I
everyone...
know, like, fundamentally how podcasts work.
Me neither, actually. Is this like... No, I understand the basic premise of it, to be honest.
We googled RSS feeds for 1 hour.
Yeah,
And we still don't
Still
know
don't know
what
what they
it is.
are.
But we are trying, so please, just let us try.
Don't have to listen to us, just let us try.
Yeah, that's a great way to sell the podcast, Stefan.
We were doing what now?
To openly mock it before we even start. What is this, the fourth one?
Oh no, we've already done so many.
Okay,
I know. Okay, so this week, what are we going to be talking about, Stefan?
Today, we are trying to discuss and unbundle the animated madness that is FLCL, or Fooly Cooly, as it's known as in the West, or Fooly Cooly, it's got more U's in it, as it's known in Japan.
And ours.
But yeah, that's what we're discussing today. But first...
We will be talking about what we've watched animated-wise during the week, and we are going to skip over Michael. So, Stefan...
I was literally about to say, it's like, yeah, just don't bother. This is just what was Ben and Stefan watching this week.
Yes, Michael never watches anything apart from the required, and even this time, he barely made it. Okay, so Stefan, have you been watching anything else animated this week?
Okay, so... Ben knows, but I haven't discussed it. I finished the first season of Star vs. the Forces of Evil and started the second season, which it's taken its story in a very bizarre way. Like, the end of the first season had its villain stranded in the wilderness, and then the next season opens up with like a man versus wild thing where he's just stuck in the wilderness, and piece by piece it's him trying to regain like some sort of power, but it's really odd in how detailed they show it. Like, usually this show jumps around, but this one doesn't for some reason. I found that was quite interesting. Otherwise, the show takes its normal, like, fun bounciness, so that's always fun to watch. But otherwise, nothing else besides that. How about you, Ben?
I watched She-Ra, Princesses of Power Season 2.
Oh, I was going to say, you mentioned this before.
Yeah, I mentioned it a few weeks ago, and I got the date wrong for when it came out. But no, this was only 7 episodes, which
For
was
a whole
very
season?
Yeah, it was very short.
Were
And-
they longer, though?
No, and it didn't feel like it concluded nicely.
Oh.
However, it was pretty good though. Like animation-wise, there were some fun things.
So it still remained consistent?
Yeah, it was still consistent, but it just didn't feel like a season finale.
Okay.
Which makes sense, because it was only 7 episodes. What's your deal, Netflix?
What?
What's wrong with Netflix?
Why 7 episodes?
Netflix usually has too many episodes.
I know, this is too few. It yet has to hit the right amount of episodes.
It's probably a production thing, though.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing they're meant to be doing 10 episodes a season, but last season had 13, so it compensated with 7 this time.
Yeah, also the production's probably doing something else.
Anyway, we don't know anything else about this. It was a fun show.
Good on it! 10 out of 10.
God, we're an informative podcast.
So yes, Stefan, do you want to introduce the topic of...
So, we're starting with Fooly Cooly, which I'll get my information on. This is going to be a doozy to work through because it is such a bizarre and all over the place anime. I'm just looking at you guys and Michael's giving me this grimace of just like disgust, so it's gonna be fun.
How many pages do you have of research?
How could you possibly get that much information out of that show?
Okay, so let's begin.
Oh no.
That's how many notes had about The Lion King.
Yeah.
FLCL is an OVA anime series released in 2000, written by Yoji Enokido and directed by Kazuya Tsumaki. Sorry if I got all those names wrong.
Which he did.
It was a collaboration production between Studios Gainax and Production IG. The series was released alongside a novel and a manga series of the same name. So, just directing to Michael, most anime series start with an adaptation and then it gets turned into a series. But Gainax, which was they're a very renowned anime series, they usually start with just their own stories that they make themselves. So it's really odd because a lot of their stories start concrete, but then as the series goes on, it kind of collapses because they're kind of writing on the spot, which is kind of what happened to their most famous
This didn't
piece.
feel like it started concrete.
Oh, this one did, believe it or not.
What?
But one of their other most famous series, Evangelion, the Neon Genesis Evangelion, completely fell apart at the end, and then they end up going back, reducting it, making movies. It's how that production goes. Anyhow, OVA, which I don't think you know, is called, it stands for Original Video Animation.
20 minutes of Yu-Gi-Oh! 15 years ago.
Sorry.
This is my background.
And Akira.
Oh, and Akira, that was really good.
Akira's
I liked
good.
Akira.
So, an original video animation is not quite like an anime series. They're usually shorter. Like, it's only like 6 or 7 episodes, maybe. It could be anywhere from like 1 or 3 to 12. But it usually has a higher budget in terms of animation production. And it's usually more of an experimental thing. Like, they usually do an OVA to kind of like either finish plot points of a already made anime series or just to test things out to see if it sticks with an audience. So that's what this was released as. So I think the best thing to do before really diving into this series particular is looking at the background of the people who made it, because otherwise you have no footing for this anime. It's such a bizarre thing. So
I can't imagine anything on that sheet that would give adequate context
it's written in Latin.
to what we just watched.
Ah, Latin, the dead language. Of course, we can all understand it.
I can't. This hasn't even got words on it. I'm just reading off something I'm making up on the spot.
Ah, the
No,
best type of dead language, imagination.
Oh, now it's sad. So, Yoji Enokido is the screenwriter for the series, so he wrote most of it. And he worked on Sailor Moon, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Redline, which is a movie I know Ben's seen, and Fooly Cooly.
I have not seen it. I don't know what you're talking
You haven't seen
about.
Redline? Oh, we should really do that for this podcast. It's just as weird. It's great. Anyhow, so he's worked primarily with more sci-fi space elements, which really come to play in this Fooly Cooly, and he usually works with a lot of coming-of-age stories and romance and that sort of thing, which really makes sense for this grounds. The director is Kazuya Tsumaki, as I, again, incorrectly pronounced before. He worked as a long-time animator for Gainax before becoming the assistant director for Hideaki Anno, who was the founder of Neon Genesis Evangelion. So he's like a prolific person in the anime industry. Sorry?
Goodbye,
got my
notes.
Notes. Need those.
Wait, I thought you were making up on the spot. You lied to me, Stefan.
I'm sorry, Ben.
Does this mean we can stop?
Well, we haven't even gotten started on this train wreck. Anyhow, so FLCL was actually his debut as an anime director. So this was the first thing he did to really show that this is what I can do.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
say a lot.
he can do a lot, is what it means.
He stated famously that he really wanted this particular anime to break the rules of what anime had become. And I think he really does it with this, because this is more of an art piece than it is a commercial product at times. But then at times, it also succeeds as a commercial product.
Yeah, it really does.
I feel like you're just going to be judging me the entire time.
I'm saying very little for those of you at home. I'm just staring Stefan down as he tries to explain the unexplainable.
I'm trying to sound cool. Okay, so as I said before, this was a collaboration project between two companies, major animation companies. The first being Gainax, which was a renowned animation studio established in 1984 in Japan that produced works like Gurren Lagann, FLCL, and even Galleon, of course. They started as a group of uni students, which explains why self-loathing is written all over this sort of thing.
It felt like a coming-of-age kind of thing.
Oh,
That's the
yes,
only thing I
it's-
picked up. The rest was just noise and grief.
Lots of grief. So they started basically making animated shorts about giant robots battling each other, space, sci-fi, and bunny girls for some reason. This thing about bunny girls.
The natural trajectory of all creative studios.
Robots, bunny girls. I think that makes sense.
Which FLCL does have.
It does have a reference to the bunny girl, which is a really clever nod. So the other company that worked on it was Production IG, which they were established in 1987, and they've worked on many shows, and video games and films and stuff. They've worked on the anime's Guilty Crown. Don't know if you've heard of that. One of my favourites, Psycho Pass.
Whatever is written on that sheet, no.
I have heard of Psycho Pass, but only because you
Okay.
had to study it.
They did Ghost in a Shell.
I know all the ones based off card games, and I haven't seen those.
They did Ghost in a Shell.
Oh, I know that one.
That's not based on a card game.
They did my sports anime called Koroko no Basket.
That's one of your
favourites too.
favorites. You used to be so obsessed with that.
And in general, Production IG is just a very clean studio. Like their work is very, very refined. Like their emotions are very clear. They've got a very good style that's always very clean. Gainax is the guys who go a bit more experimental.
I can see that.
Which you can tell why this is a collab project, because this has a really great balance of just chaos from Gainax Studio and then the
If
cleanness.
if the next thing is anything other than chaos,
The Chaos Gems from Sonic.
Okay, no, Sonic's a different thing. We'll get to Sonic later.
this is an incredibly just like mocking, angry podcast.
I'm trying my best.
Okay, just continue, Stefan.
Yeah. So, I think that we've got that background now. We'll get to the basic plot that I've written for FLCL.
Okay,
So-
Michael, do you know what the story is for this? Did you get it from your 2 viewings of this show?
Of course I didn't.
Okay, so apparently...
No, when we walked in here and you were like, and you said, Ben, how are we going to structure this? Are we just going to talk about the overview of the series, or are we just going to go episode by episode? I was filled with just dread when Stefan said episode by episode, because I can't differentiate any of them.
I'll help you with that.
It's just this fireworks mess in my head.
Okay, well, I got the story,
I
and
don't
I
know.
can differentiate
This
it.
one I'm going to be completely just at a loss. I don't know what to say.
Well, this...
I have no idea what it was about. I don't know what was going on. There's something about an iron.
There was.
I don't know anyone's name. I am... This is an incredible degree of just being, like, inequipped to, like... Not even just to talk about it, just to process it.
I think that very much sums up why this became so popular in the West.
Ah,
it was
also-
new, it was charging with energy, and it just hit people like a bullet train.
Also, again with processing, we literally just finished watching the last episode with Michael about half an hour ago.
I had, like, an aneurysm at the end. Just lay down.
But it's alright, he's alive. Just in case anyone's concerned. So, I'll go with the basic plot for now, and then what I plan to do is we'll go with our overall thoughts. We've already heard Michael. And then
So I can go now?
No.
Oh.
You're stuck here. Then I wanted to go metaphors and episode by episode to look at all the different animation things and how they really told this visual story in a really unique way. So, FLCL. The series tells the tonally surreal and relentlessly energetic coming-of-age story of Naota, a 12-year-old boy whose seemingly average suburban life is disrupted by Haruko Haruhara, a young woman who claims to work as an investigator for the Galactic Space Police Brotherhood.
I didn't get any of this.
Let me say the thing first.
That was in the second episode.
What?
After the woman...
I thought it was all just forehead erections and guitar solos.
I mean, that's part of it. After the woman hits Naota with her Vespa, the boy's head becomes an NO channel to which otherworldly robots can teleport through and wreak havoc. Michael's doing a lot of hand gestures right now. I can't read any of them. The series then follows the characters as they battle robots, deal with interstellar conspiracies, crushes, baseball, and of course, the elusive meaning of the phrase Fooly Cooly.
And sex.
I didn't mention that, Ben. You
I
ruined
know.
my speech. But, I gotta admit, that was a pretty well written speech. I did that myself.
Very well done.
Come on, doesn't
Why
it?
can't you just copy off Wikipedia like the rest of
I
us?
didn't copy, I needed to write
I
it.
don't copy off Wikipedia. Says something about Michael, apparently.
So, overall thoughts. Ben, what did you think of this in general?
I don't know. I finished it on Wednesday, so we record on Fridays. Finished it on Wednesday, and I love the animation. I don't know if I like the series, though. Purely because it's so bizarre and weird. And, like, really weird sexual imagery with a 12-year-old kid. I don't like that.
She was 12?
The kid was 12.
Oh, no.
No,
Yeah.
he's 12.
Oh.
Everyone else is a bit older than him.
Well, that makes it much worse.
Yeah, I know. Which is why it's just, oh. But
Harako is
animation-wise, I love it. Because it's so bizarre and everything they do is...
Experimental.
Yeah. So thank you, that studio that you said that begins with G.
Nice. Well, that was generally what people's reactions were for initially seeing this. It came out on Adult Swim in the 2000s, and this was pretty much the show that opened people's eyes to, wow, anime is a weird, weird thing, but I kind of can't get enough of it.
Isn't
Like,
that what
not me,
Akira
that's
was?
Akira was that for the West in opening the eyes to anime, but this really showed what it could do. It was kind of the anime series for the 21st century, it's been coined. Because it's just so bizarre,
Yes, the
modern.
21st century, just rife with giant irons and...
Even though this is at
Yep.
literally the very start of the 21st century.
It is, to be honest. But it feels really modern in how it presents itself.
Apart from the mobile phones.
Oh, yeah, besides the mobile phones, of course.
Yeah, I would agree with you with that, though, yeah.
Michael, have you got anything else to add here?
He's gonna mock it. Just wait for it.
No.
Okay.
I got that.
Where are you going?
Michael is walking out of the place where we record. He's going home.
He's going home.
I think he's broken.
Okay.
Okay, Michael is
you're
back.
We won't ask you what you think of this again.
We'll just let you comment when you want to.
That's probably wise.
So, a few things about anime I really wanted to tell you, just in case you didn't know. Anime is very much a product that studios do to really appeal to as many people as possible. The reason why it has so much gratuitous scenes and a lot of sexual references and violence and over-the-topness is to really just sell it. And ultimately, anime is, like most things, a product first, art second. So people can look at this
Is
show.
that a controversial statement, or is that widely kind of agreed upon?
I know.
It's agreed upon.
Well, in Western media, like with Disney, like with all these remakes.
Oh yeah, was it Alan Horn or whoever? Or it was either Alan Horn or Bob Iger, one of those figures. Yeah, quite literally said, yeah, we're a business first and foremost, and sometimes we will make art as a byproduct of trying to make money. Like creating art is always like an inadvertent after effect of trying to make a profit.
Which is sad, but true in most
Yeah.
respects.
But like for Western culture, that's a controversial opinion. But whereas with anime,
in anime, it's assumed that that's what you have to do first, and so this show really goes on that and hits it as hard as it possibly can, and really bluntly as well at times, because some of those shots of just showing underwear and showing really bizarre sexual connotations, it's just bizarre. Like from a Western perspective, it's just weird.
look, I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
it as much if it weren't for the fact that it's based around a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
That's the problem
Yeah,
I
there-
have.
there's an element of culture shock, I think, in it. Yeah, I cannot comprehend any of it.
Yeah, it kind of alienates you in a way, but there's scenes that feel so organic to me. I can't get enough of how well it tells things in a metaphorical way.
Oh yeah, like there's kind of like a coming of age metaphor that kind of punctuates the entire series. So I'm trying not to say I am mocking it, but it's not really like direct or serious criticism, because I acknowledge that it does have a lot to say, and it says it in a way that is innovative and engaging. But at the same time,
It's just not your thing.
I not even that. Just I couldn't process it. Just it was too much so fast.
It's a show that really demands multiple viewings to really get to the crux of it.
So Michael's going to be watching this even more.
Oh, totally. He loves it. Look at him.
Every day.
Well,
with anime, lots of people go in to really take apart the themes and the moral dilemmas of each character, but ultimately, lots of really complex thoughts can be summed down to, oh, the studio just wanted to make something look cool. Which ultimately, that is a case, but it's always fun to look at this in a very metaphorical sense.
That's almost admirable in and of itself.
Yeah.
Just like, we have a concise kind of broader metaphor to convey, but at the same time we can take an episode just to do an homage to John Woo.
Yeah.
For no reason.
just guns everywhere.
Yeah.
Just they had fun with it.
In the episode that should be like your lead into the finale. Just
The penultimate episode.
Yeah, exactly. No, instead we just take a minute to, create like this weird thematic indulgence.
Yep.
Yeah.
And South Park.
And South Park.
I don't
There's
know.
a lot of parodies in it.
we have to speak about this for an hour and a half.
Do you want to begin with
I wanna...
episode 1?
No, I
What?
want to talk about the themes first,
Oh.
Ben. Get around it. Okay, so something you've both gotten is the coming of age, which very much underlines the entire show.
With an emphasis... No, I'm not going to say that joke.
It has emphases on childhood versus adulthood,
Yeah.
being able to act your age, and the inability to grow up. The destruction of complex thought is one of the more subtle ones. Sexual frustration is very obvious in it, like way too obvious at times.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember
I didn't notice that at all.
I remember when I was 13 and I got my first forehead robot.
I remember that. Wait a minute, did you say 30?
13.
Oh, 13. No, I don't remember that at all.
I
wish
had an
did.
awkward adolescence.
Cats. That's right, Cats is a theme.
The musical?
Yes! No, not
Okay.
the musical. Just cats in general. There's a lot of cats in this show, if you've noticed. They
I
almost
did notice
indulge
that.
themselves in cats.
I thought there was just the one or two cats that just.
Yeah,
kinda
but then he
kept
has
appearing.
cat's ears in one of them.
Ah, yeah.
Haruko has cat
Again,
expressions.
Again, we just watched it and I don't remember any of it.
That's alright. And the last theme, which is, I think, one of the most prevalent themes, love.
Ah.
So, like, almost every single thing ever. Love is a
Yes.
theme.
Everything. Okay, so that's what we'll get. I've got a few notes
There's more
here,
than
but-
one page.
Yeah, there's more than one page. But I think it's best now we start looking at let's just dive into some of the episodes first.
Okay,
So-
I think we should start with the third episode.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
We'll start with the
no.
fourth episode, then we'll go the first, and then the sixth, and then we'll make a new episode at the end.
I love
Makes
it.
just as much as sense as seeing it chronologically.
Okay, so the first episode.
Is entitled Fooly Cooly. I've got the whole description here, but I'll just kind of sum it down. So, Naoto is just a 12-year-old kid. He describes his life as being ordinary with nothing happening. Although there is an iron, a giant iron known as medical mechanica, which no one can get into. There's no windows or doors. It just billows out smoke and makes who knows what. It's just this mysterious and ominous factory that no one has any control over and no one questions.
What's it a metaphor for?
Can I...
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay, because this is the very beginning of the first episode,
Mhm.
while this speech is happening, I didn't think the animation was going to be good purely because of the first shot of this.
Yeah.
So it's basically just a pan of the town that's very unfocused and scurried, and this is very there's a very badly composited truck going across the bridge, and
I
I
didn't
just
mind the establishing mat that
yeah
much.
the mat
Usually
itself was
animators are
good,
quite good at that.
but the scurryingness and the not well composited truck and all that, it didn't set up what it was gonna be like, and yeah, so.
I don't think anything it could have done could have adequately prepared you.
But my very first thoughts were, oh, this isn't going to be animated well, and I was going to be proven wrong in
And
like 2 minutes
yeah,
later.
it hits you like a steam train. I'm using
Like a
lot of
guitar.
train metaphors.
It hits you like a guitar.
like a
Stefan.
guitar, which is what Haruko, an alien who comes to Earth, does to the young Naoto. She hits him with a guitar, and because of that, he starts spouting robots from his head.
Like
Yes,
an erection.
This is all the first episode. It's really odd stuff.
This is the first like 10 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It establishes that Naoto is hanging out with. I call her Mamimi. What do you call her, Ben?
I will just call her Mamimi.
Mamimi.
I don't know who it was.
She was basically.
Oh, is this the girlfriend of the brother?
Yeah, the girlfriend.
In America?
So Naoto has a brother who's in the US playing baseball. You never see him. All you hear about is that he's doing great. He's this really grown up and really masculine person who's living in America playing baseball, and he's amazing. He's left his Japanese girlfriend in Japan, obviously, and has a new American girlfriend. And Mayamimi, being the Japanese girlfriend, is kind of venting all her frustrations and anger on Naoto. So she'd kind of snuggle next to him and just be really uncomfortable towards him. And
I did not like that.
yeah, it's
very
really odd to watch.
There's a 5-year age gap between them, and it's just like...
But it really builds into her character, which is very important for the understanding of the show's supposed themes, if you would take it in a metaphorical sense.
Okay,
in the literal sense, it's fan service.
I know, but like with Love, Death and Robots, you felt very uncomfortable with the nudity.
Yeah.
Whereas I was alright with the nudity. But with this, it's the opposite, where I'm uncomfortable with the implied sexual connotations.
Okay.
And, yeah, just a 12-year-old kid.
Nothing actually happens sexually, though. It's
I
all
know.
metaphorical. But
the way
totally
it's
get what you mean.
portrayed.
So, the woman who hits Naoto with her Vespa and the guitar is now working as a maid at Naoto's father's bakery, which is really annoying to Naoto because he has to deal with her being in the house. The introduction of her being a maid to the family is the strangest thing ever because the animation turns into manga pages. And
which you did warn us about, so thank you for that.
It goes from a silent, a casual scene of Naoto walking down to blast black and white manga scenes with all these words, loud music.
This is the regular suburban life that was interrupted by the alien.
Yes.
Yes, I remember my life when it turned into a comic book. It was great.
I actually do like how it was bookended from the first and last episode.
That was animated really nicely, though.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah, it's not as if they did that. Like, usually if you were to do something storyboard only and have that as a still frame, you'd do it lazily to save on budget, but they actually animated
Like, really well,
segments in those manga parts really well. So, anyhow, the episode goes on talking about the fact that Naoto can never be like his brother. He keeps looking up to his brother and that he doesn't even like baseball. He's at that stage where he's bordering on puberty, which becomes another major theme of the show. After meeting Mayumi on a bridge and trying to reach out to her, she says something about her overflowing, which could really mean like either her sexual desires overflowing or something within her breaking down emotionally. And this causes Naoto to get a migraine and his first robot to spurt out of his head. I could not have said that any clearer, but it still sounds really weird.
Yeah, this is how we
and
start.
when the robot spurt out of his head, it literally looked like an erection coming out of his head until it revealed there was a flat top. And I literally thought, oh, there's going to be a penis out of his head. And there still kind of was.
That would have made more sense.
Then what ensues is our first giant robot battle. What did you guys think of the giant robot battle?
Look, the animation in this is spectacular. I cannot fault it. So, it was very good.
I'm just going to start reading this Garfield desk calendar.
I'm so sorry, Michael.
John says, I've been reading that book Liz gave me. Then my brain started to hurt. Then Garfield says, I'll get the antidote. And then John says, now it's kind of numb. And then Garfield holds up some comics and said, here comics, read.
It's even worse than what we're talking about. What does that even mean?
Okay.
May 6 on the Garfield calendar.
So, after this battle, Naoto comes back, wakes up again, and it begins that this robot is now living with them, Naoto, at his house. And
we should mention that 2 robots spout out of his head.
Oh,
and
they
one of
start
them was
battling.
good.
One's a
and one of
good
them's bad.
robot, and one's not. So, that was the first episode.
Okay.
Did you guys have any idea what was going on before we...
No, this was so confusing, like, straight out of the gate. Like, as the series went on, I was like, oh, that relates to that and that. But straight
See,
out
I
of
didn't
the
even get
gate...
to that point. I just stayed... My reaction at the end of the first episode was just consistent.
for all the
Throughout
episodes.
the entire thing.
Oh, I want to mention though, this has one of the coolest shots in the series, which is repeated in the third episode, where there's this really, really nice slow motion, like 360 degree.
rotation.
Yeah,
Oh, that looked really cool, actually. Was that the crash? The car
Yes.
crash? Yeah, that was great.
the motorcycle
Vespa,
crash. Yeah, Vespa
yeah,
crash.
Vespa
I do sometimes have nice things to say about this series.
Yeah, but yeah, that shot was just so amazing, and like it's so immaculate, but it doesn't look 3D at all.
No, was it?
I don't
Were they
know.
3D models? We talked about this.
Yeah, I'm
I
guessing.
agree with Ben in that he said that they would have used 3D models as reference and then
Drawn on top.
Drawn on top 2D because those lines are too
I think it was too
stylized
perfect,
to be
yeah.
3D. Like it's got to be 2D in a sense.
But
But
there was such like a sense of geometry to it.
Yeah.
Was just, yeah.
It was just so
Like when the-
well
Like
animated.
the jacket opened as well, and you could kind of see like inside that. It looks great. Looked great.
But yeah, that was when that shot came. I was like, okay, this is gonna be not a badly animated show. It's gonna be a great animated show.
But it didn't get more clear.
no, it's
Okay, animation wise, it's gonna be
It
super
didn't
good.
get any less confusing.
it's spontaneous and it's, as I said in the first
Oh no, it's
intro,
just completely kinetic and.
the energy it's relentless. It just keeps going, and even the slower
To the
moments.
point, where, yeah, even the slower moments when there's like expository dialogue, it's just like pop constantly playing in the background. It
yeah.
That is true.
just doesn't stop.
Actually, the first half of the 6th episode. Sorry to jump forward, but when that was slow, I was just like, what's happening? Why isn't there anything happening?
There's not enough music. We need to start banging stuff to make noise.
Okay,
It's
back
like
to
being
the
hit with
first
the
episode.
freight train, and then you go underneath the freight train, and the freight train just keeps going.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But the soundtrack itself was mostly done by the Pillows. It's a Japanese rock band, and they did pretty much all of the soundtrack, which explains why it's so loud, and it feels like 2000's Green Day in terms of how rugged and just like visceral it sounds. For me, anyhow, it's like a Japanese Green Day.
Yeah.
It does sound a bit like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Also,
It sounded a bit like Blink-182. Every time it cut, I just thought there'd be like an establishing shot of a high school.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Small
small
things.
things.
So the first episode doesn't really say much about any of the characters' motivations, but it pretty much emphasizes that this is going to be a story about Naoto growing up, and this is his beginnings. He kind of is a kid who's he's acting as if he's trying to be adult. Like he keeps thinking, I need to be adult so I can be like my brother. And that's his fatal flaw. Because his character arc throughout this series is instead of aiming to be an adult, because he has terrible adults to look up to, he should try to be a kid and act his age.
Yeah, all the parental figures in this are just madmen.
Especially
They're
his
all-
dad.
they're all insane.
I do not like his dad at all.
His dad just... The dad tries to have sex with Haruko in front of his son. That's how bad it gets.
Even in robot form.
Yeah, it gets really stuffed up with that sense. After the next episode, I want to talk about what each of the characters represents in the metaphorical sense. But we'll go on. So the second episode is called Firestarter.
Okay. What was causing the fires? That wasn't extremely clear to me.
Okay. So we'll get through the episode.
And
So-
speaking to the microphone more.
In Firestarter, it starts with Haruko basically revealing to Naota that, your head has channeled an NO pass, which means you can basically I can teleport these robots from a different dimension from your head, or robots from Mechanica, which is the giant iron thing, from your head. So it's kind of like this portal where it's kind of a give or take, whatever lucky draw, whatever you pull out comes out. So
What did you
it's
say the
kind-
iron was?
The iron's called Medical Mechanica.
Okay, what does it do? Sorry?
No one knows.
Okay.
Even to this day,
No,
when
no,
anyone has
like-
analysed it, no one knows.
No, it's just a factory. They know that it's constantly on. No one works in the factory. And as they say in this particular episode, there are no windows and there are no doors, so you can't get in. But
And
there are guards constantly guarding it because it's a government-based facility.
And
Oh,
Haruko
so-
even tries to drive into it as well.
Yeah, Haruko tries to drive into it. In the second season, which was like set 20 years later, she does go into it.
What?
But it's the
Oh,
series,
there's another season.
Yeah, the series has changed so much in that season. I'll get to that some other time. But anyhow, in this episode, after Haruko says, you've got an alien pass, I am a galactic defender for the police brotherhood or something, And she reveals that she's just kind of there to stop these robots or get these robots. She always speaks in vague terms, never really revealing any of her motives to anyone.
Which still makes it confusing to watch, I should add.
It does, very much.
Look at Michael. He's just like, oh, when are we going to stop?
I don't know what to say.
Naoto starts, getting along with the robot that's living at his house, Kanti. Mm-hmm. The name Kanti is coined by Mamimi, the ex-girlfriend woman, or girl, who looks at the robot and thinks that he's the god character in her video game that she plays called Firestarter. And in this video game, the Lord Kanti basically commands his subjects to start burning fires. And that's where the title of the episode comes from, because it is Mamimi that goes around and starts setting these fires.
I thought it was referencing the Stephen King novel and that movie starring Drew Barrymore, Firestarter.
That's a movie?
Yeah.
Oh, well maybe it is.
Ah.
Probably not, though.
But she's not named Kanti, so no.
No,
okay.
It's probably not. It's a dead reference.
Okay, so she actually does the fire.
She's setting the fires.
Okay, because at the end I was confused, because I set her up as it, but then at the end, when they were doing the last battle and then the battle causes the flames,
yep.
I thought, oh, maybe during the night.
That's what I thought as well.
Yeah, during the night they were having battles and catching fire to buildings, and I was like, oh, that's what's causing it.
No, it was
okay.
It was Mamimi who's been setting all these fires, and she has this subplot where she's constantly trying to take revenge on things that hurt her instead of trying to emotionally move on, which becomes a big problem for her as a character because she becomes stuck in this state where she just doesn't let herself grow or move on. But we'll get to that. So after this, so what did I get? Yeah, she thinks Kanti is this lord, and she starts setting fires to kind of appease him.
I forgot that entire thing happened where she burnt the school down.
No, yeah. Basically, it reveals at the end that she burnt down her original school, and it's become like a rumor that kids tell, like, oh, what has happened to the school? Was it ghosts or who burnt it down? But no, it was Mamimi. And the important thing here is that when she burnt it down, the person who saved her from the flames was Naota's brother, which immediately made her idolize him because he was the one who kind of saved her. I'm saying saved her in air quotes because it wrecked her emotionally as a person. So didn't really save her at all. Didn't really save Naota at all either.
Yeah, she should have died in the fire, freak.
Anyhow,
Jesus.
Another robot battle happens because this show loves their nonsensical robot battles. And after that, Kanti, the robot, eats Naota because that happens now.
Yeah, because it, for some reason it has this large head that just comes out of it for no reason.
It just eats Naota. They fuse as one, and the kanji for adult flashes on his screen. Now, this is meant to symbolize that Kanti, in that respect, is like the ideal adult. The one who's able to step in and just solve the problem.
And is a transformer.
All good adults are transformers.
I
This
knew
show
it.
says it.
That's why I'm not a good adult, because I don't know how to transform.
Can't transform, Ben. What are you doing?
God damn it.
Transform into a boat now.
Ah, my spine!
I had a Michael voice for a second there.
You did transform. Good job.
Thank you.
No, but at the end of this episode, basically, Naota says to himself, he thinks that he's failed in the sense that his brother could save Mamimi, but he couldn't in a way. So he feels that, I have to be the one to be there for Mamimi, and I'll be with her forever. He says something like that. The episode ends. No one knows what's going on, and that's this episode. Does anyone have any other thoughts to add to this?
Let me look through my notes.
Notes.
Oh, someone calls Mamimi pathetic because she's a 17-year-old in high school.
Yeah.
What age are people meant to be in high school in Japan?
No. I don't think it's because she's in high school 17. It's because she's out of school. Like, she should be in school at that time, but she's not.
Oh.
She constantly ditches school.
Yeah, I know that, but it didn't make that clear.
No, some of the dialogue... The problem with the English revisions and the English dub of this show is that there were so many Japanese in-jokes and cultural references that it became really hard for the English team to really write it in a way that a Western audience could understand, which is why it seems quite jarring and nonsensical at times with its specific dialogue.
one of my favorite animated shots in this episode was when Naoto was chucked from the fire, and then he lands on the bike and then gets eaten up by the tire. And just the animation for that, the exaggeration in the bike and in the characters
I like
was
that when
just...
he kind of goes through the...
Yeah.
It's so cartoony. Everyone becomes like a noodle at some stage.
Exactly. Or as I said, they're just made of elastic. Nothing bad can happen to them because they're just all squishing around everywhere.
Like, what did you call them? Did you
An
call them
elastic
like a
ball.
rubber ball? I thought.
Yeah.
They just bounce all over the place. It's great. And it really adds to that kinetic energy you were talking about, Michael. Although that seems to be the only thing you want to add to this discussion.
Look, just let him chime in when he wants. He's already walked out. We don't want that to happen again.
He's already walked out. This is the ghost of Michael.
The hardest thing I've done today was walking back into this room.
Wow.
It wasn't
kinda
watching.
deep.
It wasn't watching the last 3 episodes.
Oh, God. Forgot about that. I delightfully repressed that until now, Ben. Thank you.
Okay.
So, the third episode. I know this is...
I'm making it sound worse than it actually is. 'Cause
I
I
know.
think it's a decent series.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But we can totally understand where you're coming from.
Also, it's fun to have an opposing view.
The first time I watched this, I was exactly the same. Where I was like, I like what I saw, but I have no idea what's going on. But I kind of like the vivid just chaos that it throws at you.
I think it got to the point when the Nazi showed up in the cornfield that my brain just stopped writing new memories.
That is true. That was the point where you started lying down. I will say though,
Just like in my brain, just quickly, just pruning, just cutting all the synaptic connections, just ripping up everything in there. Just stop making new memories. We can't
I
handle
don't want
this.
any more of them.
No, we're done. We're
calling it quits.
Can we kill him? Can we just stop?
stop
the heart.
Was this released episode every episode a week by
Yes.
week? Okay, so I think that would have been a better way to watch it rather than binging it, because that
Yeah,
way you can
because
have time to process what happens and
Yeah.
then read into the text and everything.
Definitely.
Because I think it's so high energy, it does genuinely become difficult to differentiate.
We'll get to the third episode, which is the halfway point, and actually, it may not seem it, but it serves as a very good halfway point, because as Ben mentioned, it's the first episode that makes the most narrative sense.
Yes, which is why it's my favourite one.
So, it's...
It's the only one I understood.
So, the third episode is called Marquis de Carabas. Marcus de Carabas.
I couldn't even get past the title.
He's the nobleman in the original play of Puss in Boots.
Oh.
Which is what surrounds most of this. So, this episode introduces a very vital character to the series, Ninamori, who's a girl in Naoto's class, and she is the daughter of the mayor of the town. And her family's basically caught up in a scandal in which the father's having an affair with his secretary. And it is very odd because the secretary very bluntly states to the daughter, "Oh yeah, I'm having sex with your dad," and she's like, "Whatever, I don't care."
Yeah,
And
fair
I remember that.
she's very much at this stage what Naoto was at the very start of the series, very dismissive, trying to act mature and just look really cool.
So basically, she had the arc in one episode of what he had in 6.
Yeah, that's not traumatizing at all.
Which shows how mature she is as a character to really get that arc before Naoto does. Naoto takes 6 episodes and who knows how many broken robots to work out.
And I've
his
taken
arc.
22 years and I'm still not mature.
Oh no, now it's sad.
Yeah.
Except Michael. Michael was sad this entire time. I think he can't even get on his character arc at the moment.
When we put this on YouTube, instead of having the picture of the album, could we just have
Your
what I
sad
look like
face.
this entire time?
Just show a picture of a skeleton lying down on a couch. Dress him up as Michael. So, in this episode, Ninamori wants Naoto to play the role of Puss in Boots in the play, and he kind of doesn't really want to. He's covering his head. Turns out, the new pimple that's formed from his head
Horns.
has turned... Pardon?
Horns.
New horns that have spawned from his head have turned into cat ears.
They're not horns.
Well, whatever.
I know,
I don't
but
know what they
usually it's horns that come out of... They make
Yeah.
a point of saying it's horns that come out of his head, but now they're cat ears.
And they look pretty cute. They're cute cat ears.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But basically...
I guess.
The cute, tumorous robotic growths.
So he's stuck with these cat ears and he's trying to just distance herself from Ninamori. Then she meets with him in this subway where she's trying to hide from publicity. And then Naoto gets hit by Haruko on her Vespa again.
I want to talk about that because that has a really great sequence. So before the cool again 360 shot, you have this Haruko coming in with a Vespa on the freeway, and then she just causes this massive pile
And all
up.
the cars just start tumbling after her.
And just the way they shot that was just so comedically well done.
Yeah.
And I really love that shot. And then immediately followed up by another 360 slow-mo shot that is, again, really well animated. Of, once again, Naoto heading towards another one of his friends. Almost kissing, but then banging heads.
Yeah, which really, that would happen if you're twirling at light speed towards someone. You're just going to smash into their head.
But yeah, that was such
funny,
a great
actually,
bit of animation.
Just this romantic moment. It's like, no, he's travelling at like Mach 5.
Smash! So he ends up being knocked out, and Ninamori subsequently ends up being brought to his house, and she starts staying there just until the publicity of this whole scandal dies down. Also, I don't think you guys would have noticed the first time, especially not Michael, but when Naoto bumps into Ninamori, that opens an NO channel in her.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, which basically means she can now also, like Naoto, open portals from her head.
Isn't it just this one time, though?
This one time she does it. Back at school, Naoto kind of calls out Ninamori in front of the entire class saying, you rigged the vote so I would be the cat in Puss in Boots and you've rigged this whole thing, which kind of makes her look a lot less clean than what she was made out to be. She was meant to be the class rep. So her mind kind of starts to break down, and a robot that looks like a giant jellyfish thing forms from her head.
Well, first you see the cat ears coming out first, and then everyone's confused. Also, that argument where she pulls him, that had some really great animation.
It really did.
Just the way, it was just very natural, and
when the show wants to be realistic with its motions, it really does go out of its way to make them look really natural and organic. Which builds into the fact that under all of this insanity, there is a very urban and just normality story that's speaking out. But that story that's trying to sing out in this show is just constantly barraged by this madness, which is what Naoto at the end tries to work out. What's truth? What's reality? What's chaos and what is normal? And that becomes really hard for him.
Yeah, just the really well animated smaller moments just really stand out to me.
Yeah. So basically, another robot battle happens because it's gotta have that. Kanji fuses with Naoto again. He likes being eaten by this robot. It's great. He becomes the perfect adult with Kanji's help. The kanji for adult shows up on his screen again, and he beats the robot. Ninamori goes back to school. She reveals that, her parents aren't divorcing anymore and scandal's kind of dying down. And that's where that episode ends. Now, before we go on, this is one of the things where I can really start to mention some of the key themes about what each of the characters represent and what they mean metaphorically.
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 Not
Sorry, my pronunciation is terrible. But the first thing is, this episode is very much prevalent on cats. It always talks about cats. So
there was even Haruko's cat, and it showed his balls and penis.
Yeah, for some reason, really likes emphasizing that on the cats. Michael's dead. So, in this, as well with many other shows, let me just get the note I wrote about it. Cats pretty much represent flexibility, secrecy, and independence in a sense. And also change, because cats constantly move around, they're kind of spontaneous. And in a sense, you can see cat-like elements in some of the characters. Like Haruko is 100% cat.
And sometimes she's animated with those whiskers.
Yeah, she sometimes even has whiskers. And that's why it kind of shows these cats in places, and why Naoto doesn't want to be seen with cat ears, because he doesn't want to seem like he's changing or he's different than what he once was. He's he's in this hypocritical state where he wants to be mature, but he doesn't want to grow. He's kind of stuck in himself in this loop, which is, you can see metaphorically shown through these cat ears and him trying to hide the cat ears.
I just assumed he didn't want to be stuck in a school play. and that's it. Like,
Yeah, honestly, if you were to look at it as just a cool action romp, yes, that's pretty much it. But again, people like to analyze these shows to the nth level. I don't know it myself. I just try to make sense of what I can read.
I guess because I just didn't pay attention to the cats, I didn't see any of that. Also, cats is a weird metaphor, so...
It's a weird metaphor.
You paid attention?
Yes.
Now, here we can look at our three main female leads, as we can so to speak, and what they represent. Haruko, the alien, space brotherhood, whatever jargon.
But she's
she
not
pretty
really.
much represents puberty and sexuality.
Oh, yeah, I
She
can get
is
that.
this constant state of trying to get the power of Atmos, who represents adulthood. But
Atomisk, yeah.
But she can never attain it. She's always in this constant state of puberty. She never ages. In this sense, and this might make a bit more sense, think of Haruko as a Peter Pan character. She's constantly that age, she can't change, and she sees the world around her changing and she doesn't understand it. That's what Haruko is.
Is that why she's the same in the 20 years later show?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really sad now because she's always the same. She can't change. But she basically, in this particular story, she's Naoto's sense of puberty and his sexual awakening, so to speak, as an adolescence.
It's still weird to see as a 12-year-old.
I know. Again, think of it as metaphorical and it's a lot easier on your head.
Everyone take a shot every time I say, but he's a 12-year-old.
Yeah, we should put that at the start, but I'm not going to because I can't edit. Now, Maimimi, I can never say her name right. It's pretty much, she represents addiction and the desire and the inability to grow. She's constantly latching herself to Naoto's brother to the point where she's substituting anything she sees as the brother. To the fact that she calls Naoto Taku. What was it again?
Yeah, it was that, yeah.
Taku, which is basically the brother's name, but she's shortened it down because she keeps relying on him and she's so dependent on others. She just refuses to let herself grow as a person. She's stuck in that time at which she was the girlfriend and she just doesn't let herself move on. Which is sad because for Naoto, he confuses it for love and he thinks that she has feelings for him, but she doesn't. She's just using him to get her own means.
Yeah.
Same with Haruko. Haruko's using Naoto as a portal to get
To
different
Animus.
things. We haven't actually introduced Animus yet, but
I
yeah,
know,
that's
but, yeah.
basically it.
I feel sorry for Naoto. Everyone's just using him.
Now,
And
the third character is the one character who really doesn't use Naoto in the way the others do, who is Ninamori. Ninamori, as I've read online, is pretty much represents what Naoto should become. And she's a child who recognizes she's a child and matures over time than rather trying to mature by force. Like, Naoto at the start of the series tries to act cold, tries to act mature to be like his brother. Whereas he doesn't naturally accept that he's a kid and he should act like a kid. Whereas Ninamori, after this incident in later episodes, she realizes, I need to confront my parents about this and tell them how I'm feeling. And because of that, she's able to overcome her problems. She doesn't need any sexual metaphors or giant battle robots or anything. She works it out just from being a kid.
To be fair, she does turn into a giant robot.
She does turn into a giant robot once, but she overcomes it, Ben.
Only because...
So just ignore everything I just said.
Only because Kanti helps out.
Kind of. You can see that, but...
And they defeat it with curry.
They do defeat
With spicy
it
curry.
with
Because
curry.
in that episode, there's a running theme that they cannot handle anything spicy whatsoever. Anyone.
Curry is sex.
What?
Yeah, it's meant to be a metaphor for sex, apparently, I've read. At times.
Okay, I don't believe that.
Oh, apparently.
I think it's just meant to be spicy curry.
Oh, I don't know.
Because they're all eating curry at
It's
the
some pretty
table.
sensual
They can't all
curry.
be having sex at the dinner table
Oh,
for
no,
dinner.
that's disgusting.
Exactly. It's just curry. Come on.
Can we make this whole podcast just a video of Michael's reactions? I feel like that would be really beneficial to the audience.
If I had my phone on me, I'll just take a picture of his face, but I can't.
So, basically, they're those three characters I think become really important to understanding those themes of coming of age and whatnot. So, we're nearly there. We're past halfway. We get to the fourth episode, which is very much of a major climax, called Full Swing, which really takes the emphasis of the baseball metaphors established at the show and times it to infinity, where Haruko's pretty much saying to Naoto, oh, you won't achieve anything unless you swing your bat, which
They really hammer that home.
Yeah,
What episode are we on?
It's
Episode 4. The first one we watched today.
Okay.
And this is my second favourite because this also was very narratively sound.
Yeah. So, in it, Haruko, it establishes, is really great at baseball. She's smashing the other team, and
In more ways
they're
than
saying,
one.
"Oh, if only we had Naoto's brother. He was so good. Now we have him, Naoto, and he can't even swing the bat. He never swings his bat." And Naoto just kind of dismisses it and goes, "Oh, I don't like baseball, blah, 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 blah." And it gets to the stage where Haruko constantly keeps nagging at him saying, "You're never going to get anywhere if you don't swing your bat." Which you could take as a sexual metaphor for...
Oh, I did.
You took everything as a sexual metaphor.
It got to a point where I just assumed that everything was.
Swinging the bat in this regards is more like you'll never get anywhere if you stay in place and don't take risks. So look at it. Mimi never takes risks. She knows Taku, and she will name everything Taku and be dependent on Taku until... who knows, until she decides to grow up.
You say she doesn't take a risk, but she sets fire to multiple buildings.
I mean risk as in moving forward as a person. Again, talking metaphors, not
I know.
So
I
we
just
should
wanna...
set fire to buildings.
Yes, Michael, you should do it right now.
Okay,
So
Stefan,
that's the moral of the story.
Stefan-
Like how the moral of Akira was build more nukes.
which room of your house do you want to be burnt first?
None. I like my house.
Okay, I'll start with the front yard then.
Oh no. Okay, so basically in this episode, Naruto pretty much says, "I don't want to be compared to my brother. I don't like baseball, blah, 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 blah." He also becomes a lot more jealous of his dad, they're really implying the sexual connotations between him and Haruko now.
That was so awkward.
Like, there's this awkward scene where he's having, like, they're eating, the father and Haruko are eating egg together.
But before that, even, they were doing a weird massage where their butts were in the air and the camera, and it was
and
just...
he was massaging her with his
Oh,
chin. And it's
it
just
was
weird.
so weird.
And they're moaning the entire time.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And the fact that they're doing it right in front of a 12-year-old
Why are they
kid.
doing that?
Just...
But yeah, it's meant to...
And they don't stop when he walks in.
No, they're completely fine with it.
No, we were here first.
They got a
So,
room that just happened to be the room where everyone wants to be in.
This is where, after he walks out, Naoto walks out from
Whose
that
house was
disturbing
that?
scene.
That was...
Naoto's.
Okay, yeah.
The bakery as well. He walks out and meets this man with giant eyebrows.
Eyebrow man.
We'll call him Eyebrow Man because I haven't bothered to learn his full name.
Neither
But-
have I. And Michael knows no one's names.
In this sense, he represents what Naoto could be in the future.
A
In
man
that-
with big eyebrows.
No, because
no
he's,
eyebrows.
he's
Ah.
inferred to be a past victim of Haruko.
Yes, that was very prevalent, which I really enjoyed.
They did it in a subtle way, and I think it works for the show. But basically, this guy uses eyebrows to stop his attraction to Haruko because he himself can't move on from Haruko's presence. He kind of blames her for everything. And he in himself can't grow up. And it's kind of a sense that he's trying to tell Naoto, you gotta snap out of it, kid. Stop following her. It's not good for you because he sees what that path has done to him. But anyhow, that wasn't a joke, Michael.
I was like, you should have seen what came out of my forehead.
So what ends up happening is this eyebrow guy warns Naruto about what the horrors Haruko brings, and he ends up going back to his bureau of whatever they work at, the department, immigration department, and they find out that...
Okay, immigration department. Is this like galactic immigration?
I would say it's Earth immigration. It's not galactic. They know of some galactic relations, but not much. But anyhow,
Well, yeah, that's what I meant though. Yeah.
they find out that a satellite is crashing to that town, and it's because one of Haruko's baseball hits from the start of the episode hit it, and now it's falling down and about to obliterate everything.
What?
So he's panicking, and all the entire
It doesn't add up.
the entire department is freaking out on, oh, how are we going to stop this thing? Meanwhile, Naoto uses his bat to, he uses like a baseball bat, to hit a TV in a confrontation with his father, because the father's saying, oh, I have a sexual relationship with Haruko, it's that sort of relationship, ooh, la, 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 la. And he basically gets really angry, and Naoto goes, just shut up! He hits the TV, and the father, vision of his father in front of him just depletes on the ground, and it shows this very violent image of him like bleeding from his head. It shows some black and white images of Naoto's shocked reaction.
I really like how this was animated because it felt like a hallucination. And
It is.
Well,
yeah.
it kind of was, but it wasn't. And it was also intermingled with the interrogation from Eyebrow Man as well. And I just really like how that was edited and how they composited it all together to make this. It's confusing to start off with, but by the end, you're on board with it.
It made it look...
Apart from when you're Michael, who doesn't get anything.
Apart from Michael. But,
Nothing made me feel stupider than watching this.
oh, don't worry. I feel like an idiot for watching it. It was... I could barely understand most of
He
it.
felt like an idiot for suggesting it.
Oh, no. I felt quite smart for that,
I
actually.
definitely feel you're an idiot for suggesting it.
So the episode ends. The episode continues that he finds out the father was not his father. It was actually a robot that was made by Haruko, pulled out from his head or whatnot, and that Haruko was trying to find the right person to use this channel to bring in robots. Turns out that she's trying to bring in a being known as Atomosk, who is known as like the Atomisk, which is like this known as the Pirate King. He has an NO power so high that it can steal galaxies, pretty much.
Am I wrong? Is he only introduced in the second last
episode is only introduced, but that's
Also,
her
They just all of a sudden say, yes, it was Galactus the whole time.
Also, are they saying it is Elizabeth Swann from Pirates of the Caribbean 3 where she turns into the Pirate King?
Yes. Anyhow, this satellite's coming down, so Naoto goes up with Haruko. Haruko pulls out a guitar from his head, saying that's his bat, and pretty much lets him there by himself, and he has to use his power of Kanti adulthood to swing the giant satellite back into orbit. And
Why is the bat a guitar? Just why? Why couldn't it just be a normal bat?
Because style. Let's
Okay,
call it
but
guitar.
logically, in universe, why is it a guitar?
I don't know, this world seems to run on music for some reason.
Is all the music that plays in the episode actually diegetic, and that's why it's a guitar because it's just a musical
There's
world?
only one time it was diegetic, was when my Mimi was playing it through her speaker. But
Okay, but still, why is it?
I've read lots of analyses and reviews for this. There is no reason why the bats are guitars. They just kind of are.
So it's just style of
Logic.
Yep.
Or
Okay.
anything. So it ends with that episode. He swings the bat, and Mamumi gives this sad expression as if, wow, he really swung the bat. And for her, that's her character arc pretty much going that she can no longer trust Naoto as a like-minded spirit because he's starting to move on. He's starting to progress in a way that she can't understand.
He's starting to drink bitter caffeinated drinks.
He's trying to try things anyhow. So we'll try and... This is where the series is now a mess.
Okay, can we just do the fifth and
because
sixth
it was-
episode together?
We're up to that.
Because
We'll
it was
do the fifth and
notoriously
sixth.
easy to follow and clean up until now.
I actually
There's
thought it
some-
was.
Yeah, there's some clean metaphors at times.
It's just the first episode was just so like snap of the finger bizarre where I couldn't follow it up to a point, but then after the
begin-
second episode it just slows down a bit. Like it's still kinetically fast and all that, but you begin to understand.
I think I
more
just
of it.
watched the first episode. My brain was like, pull the plug. Just,
You get engrossed in the world though, and you kind of understand its lore over time.
Like again, I don't know what
I'm
to
sure
think
if I
of the
watched
show.
it again, I would
Yeah.
understand it further.
Yeah.
It was just almost sensory overload.
I don't know if I like it. Like I like it to an extent, but I don't love it or anything. But
What's
it's
your
still
background on
intriguing.
anime, Ben?
I've watched a few here and
Okay.
there, but it's still intriguing enough that I kind of wanted to continue watching it. So say what you will about that, or don't say anything.
Don't say anything. So the fifth episode, and we'll combine this with the last episode.
Ugh.
So the fifth and sixth episode is called Brittle Bullet and FLCL Climax.
See,
So-
I thought that was going to be a sexual reference, but it wasn't.
It
And I'm
kind of
glad.
is.
I know, but on the nose it was. It wasn't an overt
it wasn't.
on the nose sexual
So
reference.
Brittle Bullet is the strangest... for me, it's the strangest episode because it has Looney Tune levels of violence and just gun shooting. Everyone shoots a gun.
I really liked this episode.
This
was
episode can be
fun.
summed up with John Woo guns.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, it's just
You get
guns
those-
everywhere.
That is-
Everyone's
You get,
firing
you
guns.
get those lovely John Woo doves as
Yeah,
well.
that's 90% of the episode. It's just John Woo
So,
homage.
Stefan, what was this episode about?
Guns! Lots of Looney Tune
and
guns.
a Nazi dad.
Oh, that was
No,
the bit where I just checked out.
No, so basically, this episode is very permanent for Naoto's development. it introduces that gun metaphor, which a gun coming out of his head. Do you notice that? Like a trigger?
Yes.
Yeah, I was
That
like, that was the hammer there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a gun. It's actually a gun.
Yeah, no,
The hammer of the gun.
Oh, yeah. But that pretty much becomes a literal and metaphorical trigger for his desires. Whenever there's something he desires or something that his ego wants, that gun will appear. And it even shows like a rotoscope gun firing whenever he does something or smirks.
Oh, you noticed that, yeah.
Yeah. But the first time it happens is when he's on the bed and Haruko's kind of on top of him, and the gun on his head pushes him forward to kiss her. And that's his desire saying you want Haruko.
Okay.
Yeah.
The dad sees this and says, "Oh, we must go on a duel for love."
You can't have sex in my house, only I'm allowed to do that!
With eggs as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
gosh.
anyhow, they do this really wacky and bizarre fight for Haruko with these like air guns.
Again, it was just guns, pew pew,
Like,
explosions.
it was just explosions everywhere.
Oh no, there's a trap made of wood going towards me. I'm gonna contort around it impossibly.
Yeah, it's so wacky, the animation here. It goes really bizarre, but it
And-
has some great perspective.
And South
shifts.
Park makes a cameo.
Yeah, there's a South Park parody as well, just
That's
there for
so
laughs.
bizarre.
But it keeps going relentless. For me, this is the
At
most
this point,
impactful
South Park was
episode.
like 2 years old.
2000.
Yeah, about. Yeah, 1997 I think South Park debuted.
Made a parody very quickly of it then.
Yeah.
And I thought they were still in felt by that time, and this wasn't felt.
It became a
It was never felt. It
second
was...
episode.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
second episode. Well, South Park, yeah. The first
Oh, okay.
episode was traditional papermation.
I've only seen the first episode.
Oh,
so-
really?
Yeah.
No, only the first episode. Literally only the pilot.
Oh, okay.
The
Well, that explains it.
every
then.
preceding episode is animated on Maya with scanned pieces.
So Naoto starts to notice that Mamimi is kind of distancing herself away from him. So he tries to go back to her and says like, "Why are you going away from me? I thought we had a romance or something." And she pretty much goes, "No, you like Haruko. You don't like me." And he's trying to fruitlessly say, "No, I don't like Haruko. I like you." But she keeps saying no and pushes him away because she can no longer connect to him because he's moving on, he's growing up, and she can't understand him anymore. So there's this awkward scene where he's trying to take her out for a date, and
that was
she's
a bit-
she's just pushing him back, which rightfully so. She should be pushing him back. He's a lot younger than him, but still.
Also, how did he take the charge of that? It just seems...
It is weird, but this episode is about his ego speaking up. He's getting
Yes.
confidence in himself as a person, which is immediately destroyed because another robot comes from his head. Because he's
Oh, of course.
Because he's
The one that literally rockets from his head and forces him into the sky.
yeah,
100
that looks
feet.
really phallic. But he notices he's emotionally distraught from being rejected by Mamimi and her constantly calling out for the brother that he forms this giant robot. Haruko goes on to try and attack the robot again, and that thing happens. You know, the usual giant robot, eyebrow man being upset that, "Oh no,
This didn't have
what
any...
is that happening?"
This final battle didn't have any standout pieces of animation, I would say.
No,
It was
didn't.
all well animated.
Oh, yeah. The most climactic part I would think is just when he hits the meteor thing back.
Yeah, that was the fourth episode. In this episode, though, the fifth one, my main animation, like the thing I love and I actually rewatch a lot, is where Haruko is fighting Eyebrows Man in his in the immigration office. It is insane. It is just bullets everywhere. They're doing weird movements. The perspective's all over the place. It fits in that episode.
Okay,
and
I
works
will say,
so well.
I will say that was actually
It was
really well.
so fun. So colourful.
Like, to me, it was a bit too much, but it is very well animated.
Again, if we were to watch this like once a week, we might have had a different opinion. But we watched this as a binge.
No, I probably would have done the same thing.
No, this one was very gun, explosion, bang, bang, pew, pew, heavy.
Just everything.
That was Ben's very articulate opinion on this episode.
Basically, Kanti fuses
That's
with...
great.
Thank you.
Naoto goes to Mamimi... I can never say that name. And says,
Mommy.
"Stop calling me Taku. I'm not him. I'm Naoto." He fuses with Kanti. Kanti and Haruko, who's now dressed as a rabbit, a bunny girl, to
Yep.
make a reference to Gygax's first works.
Also, puberty stuff that she represents.
Yeah, that sort of thing. They take down the robot. The robot turns into a hand statue next to the giant iron, which is important.
Iron Giant.
Yeah, the Iron
It's
Giant.
it's a crossover.
It's a sequel. No, it's not.
No.
Anyhow, she then realizes that Kanti has, through the head of Naruto, formed the power of Animusk, who is the character she's been desperately trying to find this entire time because she is in love with him. So the episode ends with her standing on top of Naoto's head and romantically holding arms with Kanti, who now embodies Animusk and his powers. And in this sense, remember, Animusk is the representation of the perfect adult and the power that it brings. So she wants that power for herself. She doesn't need Naruto anymore. That's why she's standing on his head.
And then they disappear for 3 weeks.
They disappear for 3 weeks, leaving Naruto in a real bad place.
Because people have left him. People who he cared about. Just like his brother. His brother's a...
Yeah, and as
not
like
a nice
that, you
guy.
can really start to just draw upon metaphors that everyone is leaving him like his brother and he can't deal with that like he could anymore. Eventually, in the final episode, Haruko returns and he hugs her like a child who's missed their parent. And basically he says, "Why did you leave me? I needed you."
Also, while we're here, you said like a parent. Let's talk about the roles that she plays in his life. So, as we talked about before, a parent, a lover, a sibling.
Yeah, she...
All in one.
I don't like where this is going.
I know.
She has to be... She's all those roles to him, and yet she has no interest in him. Because for her, it's very much, I need Animusk, that's all I need.
He is a tool for her, but he just doesn't see it because he is in love with her in all those different types of ways.
Yeah. And he can't understand any of that.
Because he's maturing, but not enough yet.
It's good when you look at it like that. You can really get where the voice of the show comes from.
It really takes away from all the he's a 12-year-old and it's really weird to watch thing.
Take a shot! Anyhow.
What was that sound?
I don't know how drinking works.
Glug, 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 glug. Come on, Stefan.
Not a shot with a gun, Michael.
Well, that's what Michael wanted to do after watching this, apparently.
That's what he did do. He got one of those John Woo guns.
Oh,
from the previous
also,
episodes.
I want to mention in episode 5, they did a good use of Chekhov's gun where they introduced the water gun and then it came back at the end to cool down Naruto from being burning hot.
Yeah, they do fun things like that. That was cool.
That was my favourite gun part. None of the other stuff.
So the water gun was better than every single other real gun in the thing.
Exactly.
Wow, that's
Thank
saying
you.
a lot, actually.
Anyway, back to the last
You
episode.
could even say that's watering down Naoto's desires of sexual natures.
Oh, out, get out.
So, in the meanwhile, the core from the robot hand that was splashed out is now being raised by Mamimi, who's treating this little robot thing, like the new Taku, the new thing that she can depend herself on.
And even calls it Taku
Yeah.
as well.
She always has this thing for getting really inferior sort of objects or creatures and trying to be equal with them. Then it becomes insane because Haruko... What?
No,
How do I
okay,
even
let's
explain this?
So Haruko comes back. There's another manga segment, which was pretty
Yeah.
cool. And
I
then
said that, and then
so then they just go off. Haruko and Naruto.
Naruto kind of just
go
go
off.
off, do whatever. They just kind of have a road trip.
And we still don't know what happened with Kanti either.
No. Then it
Until
kind
it's
of
revealed
reveals at the
later.
end he was like a rock crossing guard.
This entire time.
For no reason, he was just doing that.
And in the meantime, while they're doing that, it shows that Ninamori has grown up as a person.
Yep, she's confessed to her parents that her emotions and what was happening, and she's taking that step forward to maturity, which is a step Naruto is yet to take.
And
but
that's what's her name?
Mamimi doesn't. But
Yeah.
they do it at the end, which is what happens now. So, the hand, the terminal core, which was what Mamimi was feeding, reunites with the hand. Kanti reunites with it.
We should mention that she uses it to take revenge on people who have wronged her.
Oh yeah, good point. Sorry, there's just so much to mention.
Anyway, so she uses it to take revenge on people who have wronged her. Now let's continue.
And then all these pieces, Kanti, this terminal core robot, and Haruko uses even Naoto, fuse into the hand to make the full purpose of Medical Mechanica come to life. So the hand starts to try and grab the iron, which is...
This
They
giant
kind of-
hand grabs a giant iron,
They
I should
kind
mention.
of make it sound as if it'll be like the destruction of the town. But I'll explain what that is. They say something like it's to iron out the wrinkles. But that has a very sad connotation I'll get to. Anyhow,
We're trying to regain youth or something.
No, I'll get to it. We're nearly at the end of this episode, then we can discuss a little bit. So, after the pieces of the hand have come up and it's started to grab the iron, Naoto forms out of the hand and is revealed to have gained the powers of Adamosk. It seems he's eaten the powers of Adamosk and now has 2 katars and is like burning red. It looks really cool aesthetically.
It does.
And this really drives Haruko insane. Haruko's like, no, I was meant to have this power. And she starts fighting Naoto for control of the Animus power. Ultimately, Naoto overpowers her, but he then releases the power, confesses his love for her, and then kisses her. And that's the moment where he succeeds his mature... He's learned to grow up and move on. He's able to express what he was feeling this entire time, finally in words. And he then releases Adamusk into the air, and that's the end of that.
And it sucks up the hands as well.
Sucks up the hand. The hand is no longer the problem.
It moves the iron a little bit.
Moves the iron on a little angle. And Haruko pretty much decides, okay, Adamusk isn't here anymore. I've got to move on. I can't take you with me, kid, because you're still a kid, so maybe in a few years.
You're 12,
She
and
leaves.
I feel weird about seducing you because I am this ageless alien goddess.
No, she never thinks that, Ben. Don't be silly. That's too logical.
I know.
So she leaves, and wow, yeah, that's the end of the series.
Oh, then we have your favorite shot of the series.
Oh, I forgot that. What? How could I forget my favorite scene?
I don't know.
Basically, after Haruko leaves, it has this gorgeous shot, and it's iconic to the series, of course, of Naoto looking up with her katana on his back and just staring up at her as she disappears in the sky. Mayumi looks at this, a new expression you haven't seen before on her face, and she quickly takes a photo of it. The very first thing that it says after that is Mayumi finished school and left.
She went back to her home planet.
No, she left the town and took up a career in photography, which has been hinted that she would take photos just for her.
I don't think it was hinted enough.
No,
But that's just me though.
not legitimately, but that was a plot point they did do. But they could have done it a bit better. But
Also, if you're hearing these random sounds, Michael is playing with a bird toy, and it's falling
it seems
sometimes.
a better use of his time than listening to this rant. So, this photo she takes of Naoto, that image is basically a step to maturity. Like, she looks at that image and realizes just how far the gap between her and him is. He's able to recognize his love for Haruko. He's able to take the stand, make these risks, and he stands there proud. And she realizes she's got a long way to go before she's that.
And she's learned to let go as well.
Yeah, which is why she takes the photo and it ends up in a magazine. What I love is that article with that photo is entitled Fooly Cooly, which is, throughout the series, the elusive term Fooly Cooly has been mentioned by everyone saying, is it a sexual thing? Is it an innuendo? What is Fooly Cooly? Before we get into that, series pretty much ends then. It shows that Naoto is continuing a normal life. Mamimi has left for her photography career. And Haruko is still in space, trying to find Adamusk. That's the series.
And she plucks the string.
Wait,
are
we done?
Yeah, well, nearly. No, get out! So, what we should really talk about...
Fooly Cooly. Explain it.
What is Fooly Cooly? So, people speculate that it is either sexual desire, it is coming of age, whatever. Is it love? It could be love. But...
So there's no definitive answer.
There's no definitive answer, but analysis that I've seen that I've really liked is coming to terms with your age and what you can do then and there. And it's a thing that everyone desires in the show, but no one understands. The dad very much thinks that Fooly Cooly is sex, and that's why he will always be alone. That's why his wife left him.
So your interpretation of the meaning of the word differs depending on where you're at in your life.
Yeah.
And what age you are.
So he thinks it's sex, and Haruko keeps saying to Naoto, what is Fooly Cooly to you? Do you want Fooly Cooly? But Fooly Cooly is pretty much what Haruko is as well. It's
The
just
real Fooly
puberty.
Cooly.
So I think it's maturity.
Yeah,
overall.
it's getting through that stage and that hurdle. But most people can't do it, or they can't understand it. An interesting visual thing they did in the fifth episode is Ninamori. when she explains that she's gotten over her quarrels with her parents and has expressed herself,
That was the sixth
it shows
episode.
her pole vaulting and then shows that she's the only one who does it successfully. It's pretty much that she's the only one who's able to truly understand her own maturity and what Fooly Cooly means to her in that sense. And so that's pretty much it in that sense. Now, do you want me to tell the really sad explanation of what the hand and the iron is?
Yes,
I took a
please.
photo. So the hand and the iron, the hand, they're obviously like an interdimensional robotic thing. But when the hand grabs the iron, what do you think that would even... Immigration Department said it looks like it's trying to iron out the wrinkles.
It was a very specific theory.
Yeah, very specific theory. But of complex thought. It's basically saying that people get to the stage where they just encompass their lives with busyness and repetition just to get through it without realizing there can be more to life or without trying to understand themselves as a person.
People mistaking complexity for meaning?
Yeah, sort of in that sense. But also, no, yeah, pretty much is that. There are multiple ways to interpret medical mechanica. They can represent the mundanity of life, the repetition and boredom that adulthood can bring.
It's the most like banal
Hence why the
household
factory
item.
is shaped like a gigantic iron. An old school symbol of work and labour. The need to work to make money can iron out the more spontaneous wrinkles in life. Another interpretation is that it represents Japanese society and the need to conform to tradition. School life and education can be extremely stressful for a Japanese student. People who try to get past this work and labour, they get bullied because they think, oh, you're weird. Why do you want to be an artist, or why do you want to do this? And so the show's kind of trying to say that you got to break free from doing the repetitive, doing the what's seen as adult, and become adult through freedom of expression. And via this journey that Naoto took. It was bizarre. It was wacky. It made no sense. But at the end of it, he became stronger.
Yeah, because so it's kind of adulthood by nature isn't templatic. It's something to be experienced and procured just like through experience.
Yeah.
There's not a template and there's not some kind of standard to adhere
Which
to.
leads to the fact that Naoto, that they were drilling in. Naoto couldn't swing his bat. He couldn't take the leap. And at the end, he could take the leap. And that's something the show tries to bring across to its audience, to just try and live life in order to become better from it.
He did iron. Good on him.
That's the series, Fooly Cooly, the enigma that it is. What did you guys think after that explanation?
I still think the same thing. I love it for the animation, and I like some of it for the story, but I just cannot get past... You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The fact that he's 12 years old and all these sexual things happen around him. That is my final thoughts.
Michael, has this changed any of your thinking?
May 31 on the Garfield calendar. Garfield says, "Today I'm going to concentrate on me.
Okay, Michael.
Obviously, incredibly confusing, and like most of my criticism throughout this entire thing has been like kind of largely facetious, I guess. But
I don't even know what that word means.
So, what do you think of it?
It's an experience, albeit a kinetic, insane, vaguely hallucinogenic one. But no, I have a deeper appreciation for it after hearing Stefan just kind of discuss his multi-page thesis. It was barely a discussion. It was just you kind of going through, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed hearing like this kind of comprehensive breakdown that contextualizes a lot of the more bizarre elements of it.
And then
that was more...
A lot of it is still inexplicable.
That was more robust than anything that came out of my mouth for the past hour.
No, yeah, that was really interesting to hear. Like I could kind of understand the puberty metaphors because they are the more blatant ones. So I could kind of... I kind of understood that it was a coming of age metaphor, but to hear you start talking about how it's more about like how like there's no like rote rule to growing up and how to experience adulthood and how to age. There's no real there's no structure to that. You just have to kind of age and overcome problems through experience. I think is kind of an interesting element of that interpretation. Yeah, so I think I'll acknowledge that it's something that I didn't respond to initially. because it's just so
over the top. It's
so
so
over the top,
much.
and there's just so much information thrown at you, and even the slower expository stuff is just filled with noise and sound and songs and music. But I acknowledge that there is deeper stuff going on there that I don't think I was completely equipped to take on board and to contextualize myself. But I appreciate it more you having explained some of it.
I think if you were to go back and see it again, like I've seen it like
I'll
4
give it
times.
a few months first.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a show that you get more out of it each time you view it with lots of things. But this one, you start to notice a lot more of what it could have been saying.
Yeah. Because I think even like Ben, was this your first time watching it, Ben?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Because I think you picked up on a lot more of like little setups and payoffs and
Ben picked up more than what I got on my first
Ben got
viewing.
a lot of like reoccurring themes and motifs and like
I just thought it was like it connected well together. That's all.
Yeah, I'll give it some time and I might revisit it just to see if I respond to it a little bit better. Because this is first my foray into like episodic anime. I really enjoyed Akira, but that I suppose is cinematic and is I think really accessible to people who have never seen anime before.
Whereas this is not as
this one is much more entrenched into that insular nature of Japanese culture, where I think that some stuff is quite like there is an element of culture shock to watching it because you're not quite sure what kind of social climate kind of engendered this kind of thing.
Yeah, this is definitely
with Akira, at least if you understand the concept of Eastern, post-war paranoia, you can understand most of Akira. But this one felt a little bit more not impenetrable, but yeah. Well, you got to say,
you got to
Ben?
think of it like a personal journey. This series as well.
Yeah.
Like it's a boy's journey. And
Oh yeah.
If you're not like a Japanese schoolboy, it's kind of hard to understand that journey.
Oh yeah, I suppose it's tailored to this is obviously I feel like something that maybe a lot of the animators or a lot of the producers, developers
really
behind it.
poured some.
Yeah,
of their
would
own
have grown
essence
up
into
in, and I suppose that if you did watch this, being especially within that demographic at the time, you would have really responded to this. And I assume that Western audiences responded to it for different reasons that are purely kind of surface level.
I think they would have just for impact.
Yeah.
This became a cult classic almost immediately.
Yeah, so
And
this
yeah,
is
I've
Japanese.
never heard of this before either.
I can't believe you've never heard of it. Even have a
Never
pop
heard of
vinyl
it.
line.
Really?
Yeah, I
wow.
want them, but they're too expensive.
What scene in this series encapsulates how you feel about this show?
Oh, damn it. That's hard.
I give it 1 cornfield Nazi out of 10.
Okay.
Oh no, wait. I don't know
What
scale that
scene
is.
encapsulates how you feel about this series?
I actually genuinely, without any semblance of irony, really enjoyed the little manga sections. I really like
Yeah,
those.
I think that also encapsulates how it is. It's like messy. It's
it's manic, but there's some artistry behind it, and there is a lot of very conscious visual metaphor throughout the entire thing. So I enjoyed that stuff. But again, I don't think I'm mentally equipped to deal with it.
Your scene, Ben?
mine would have to be where Haruko comes in with a Vespa, causes the accident, and then crashes into Naruto.
That's
'Cause
really
it's just,
good. Yeah.
It's just like, there's a quiet moment which is immediately followed up with this huge mess. That's also really
A
well
quiet moment
animated,
immediately followed by head trauma.
which is how Michael feels.
Yeah.
I have a lot of scenes I really like. I think you could guess my main one being where Naruto stares up at the sky with
The
Haruko's guitar on his back. That just encapsulates what that series means as a whole to me.
Cool.
But yeah, that's about it. One thing I want to just say, they did sequels. They've done 2 extra seasons, but
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought that this felt quite...
2015 though these were done.
What?
yeah,
Recently.
15-year gap.
But the problem
Is it an actual in-continuity gap as well?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, so he's like a dad now.
No, you don't see him. He's not part of it.
What?
Haruko, it's about this young girl who's the new main character. The problem with this, and it's really obvious, is that it's no longer a Gainax and IG production. It is an IG production purely.
Okay.
And
So
it's got none of the same
slower?
writers.
Yeah, it's not as bizarre.
None of the same writers and not the same directors, which means it is clean, it is easy to understand.
That's the
And I
opposite of
hate
what it
it.
should be.
It's so, like, I looked at it and thought, this is like a normal anime episode. I understand what's going on. Burn it.
Yeah.
Burn it all. Like, I loved Haruko's introduction in it, because she's back again, she doesn't age. She looks like Haruko.
It's like, yeah, I understand this, and I'm an idiot. Something's wrong.
Yeah, it's too good. Like, I thought, no, this is too refined. It doesn't have that... It doesn't have that rawness. It doesn't have that thing that made it seem so cool when it was first released. Which I think is a problem for it. But look, it's IG production. I love most of their work. They do superb animation. But it doesn't... When you look at it, it doesn't have this sort of earthy style. It doesn't... I don't know. There's something about it that seems a bit sterile. It even seems more serious. Like, I watched it and thought, whoa, this is serious. Whereas the first time I watched Fooly Cooly, I was like, man, fall down.
Funny.
Can't say that either.
That was a very well
Thank
researched.
you, Stefan, for preparing that.
Yeah, that
No
was really
problem.
well done.
I'm not editing this.
Before we finish up, I would like to just touch on something that is very dear to Stefan's heart. So this week, a trailer came out for a property that Stefan really adores. So Stefan, you've been playing Sonic games for how long?
I've been playing Sonic games since I was 6 years old.
And is it one of your favourite franchises?
Oh, it is. It is so dear to me, Ben. It is really... I play them to this day.
Yeah, you were playing it as I came here.
When I got here, you were playing one.
Yep.
Now, what trailer came out this week? The Sonic the Hedgehog movie made by Paramount Pictures. What did you think of it, Stefan? He is blinking at me very fast.
SOS.
It looks like it's about to cry.
What did you think of it, Stefan?
So, it's a film.
Good night, everybody.
It looks like Hop 2.0, down to the same actor who plays James Marsden.
I heard that comparison. Yeah.
Can we do the good, the bad, and the ugly trailer thing? Except this can be the good, the bad, and the ugly all in one.
Are there good things in it?
Just about this trailer.
Yeah, just about this trailer. It's all good. It's
The
all
good
bad,
thing-
it's all
Are there good things in it?
Yeah.
I think some of Jim Carrey's stuff.
Okay, because me and Ben, what is our history with Sonic?
I have never played any of it except for the Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing on the Wii.
Okay. I played Super Smash Brothers Brawl.
So even less than me.
I think he was in that one.
Look, okay, let me say, I'm a long Sonic fan. I'm one of those guys who likes Sonic 06, and that's saying a lot, because that was a train wreck. Sonic fans, and I can probably speak about this broadly.
I can't tell if that gives you more or less credibility.
Sonic fans will accept anything Sega gives to us as long as it's that blue hedgehog. This could be the worst thing in existence. I will still be the front row seat watching it. This trailer I saw, it was like, okay, it looks terrible, but it's Sonic, so I love it. It's gotten to that stage where...
Wow, it's like Stockholm Syndrome.
I've accepted
It's like
that
Star Wars fans in Star Wars.
this seems like this trailer and this movie seems like it went through the list of memes and said, what are the worst things we can possibly do to make humanity hate us?
Including giving it proper human limbs.
Okay.
Why muscular limbs? I don't understand.
And also, no gloves for hands,
No
or
gloves.
not even big hands even.
Why has he got humanoid? Why is he human?
The bit that
I
makes
don't
me-
understand.
Yeah, the bit that's like so uncomfortable is that opening of the trailer when he's like stretching. It's just got these gross, like sinewy, muscular legs.
It almost looks strange.
It's disgusting. It's so uncomfortable.
It looks like it's trying to be erotic, like this naked hedgehog,
And
like
it's got
stretching.
like these tired eyes. Like I saw it. Like I was delighted. Like it is so enjoyable how wrong it all is.
Like, how did they think? How did that get past?
It's so funny. He's so ugly.
Who thought that was a good idea?
He is so comically ugly. It's so funny to
But
me.
I love how people on the internet do like live drawings saying, "Oh no, this is how she should look like," and it's like, "Oh look,
It looks-
did a much better job with one friggin' person than the whole studio guy."
Look, they either should have gone Detective Pikachu route or Ralph Break the Internet's route.
Or the third route and just not do it at all. No one asked for this.
Have you seen that? Was it a teaser poster? I'm not even sure if it was an actual release, but the one when it's like his perspective on top of the
Yeah,
golden
his
gate.
legs are
It's just got his wide muscular legs that are like too disgusting. He looks like a little man in like a hedgehog suit.
Again, it just reminds me of Hop.
It's just I can't get over how
Hop looks better at some stages.
I can't get over just how on just like a biological level how unappealing it is.
Okay, wait, can I move on? Otherwise we'll keep talking
He's
about poor
disgusting.
Sonic. Can I just say,
Yes.
what I did like and what many people like, Jim Carrey's performance in this, I was a bit uneasy about
didn't
having
know-
a skinny Eggman because that makes no sense. But Jim Carrey pulls it off really well.
Oh, so
I
you-
think it's a bit too comical.
But it's just
at
Jim Carrey
parts.
doing Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
It's what he does.
But at the very end of the trailer, we get a shot of Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman.
That'll be the
in
last-
the
That'll
full
be the
get-up.
last shot.
Yeah,
That'll be the last shot of the movie.
film.
Yeah.
They won't.
Or
yeah.
post credits or whatever.
They'll
Yeah.
probably do a post credit with Shadow the Hedgehog.
Also, just
toting
before
a
we like to
gun.
mention, so we can date this podcast to the day, we'd like to mention that just beforehand we just received like a news notification that said that the director has heard the constructive criticism of the internet,
Constructive. That's a word.
and they
for
have
it.
decided to kind of reconfigure the entire design of Sonic for the film. So they
Yeah.
have, what is it, 6 months to re-render what feels like a sizable, obviously sizable portion of the film to
Look.
literally change the main character.
They might not change the actual rig itself, just the mesh outside of it. If you know what I'm talking. So with 3D,
That worries me because the rig is still weirdly proportioned.
yeah, to a point, but
I
I
don't
reckon
think
they
it's,
could.
I don't think it's salvageable.
They might be able to make it work. I reckon.
I don't think it's salvageable.
Look, if they just change his eyes.
I reckon they're going to do it from scratch. I reckon they're going to go back to like the
Well, it also
like
depends-
the unrendered raw footage
It-
and just make another one.
It also depends if it was motion captured or not. Because if it was motion captured, they could easily.
It does
do
look mocapped.
Yeah, so if they did use motion capture, they would easily be able to do
Because
the animation again.
keyframing 3D animation is
It's a long
hit or miss.
process.
Yeah, and it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get looking organic.
I
But
think they should change it though because him doing any cartoony actions
I-
in this current state looks weird.
he's so. I tell you what, the moment I thought, oh no, was a bit when like it shows his gross humanoid hand press like
Yeah,
the play button. I'm
oh,
like,
God.
oh, it's disgusting.
Okay, I think we just need to cut this short now because we've been.
It's just
recording
me
for a
saying
while.
how
Okay, so-
repulsive I find it.
Would you say this trailer is good, bad, or ugly?
Good, bad, and ugly.
Emphasis on the ugly.
I'm gonna say bad. Just bad.
It's not a
Okay.
gag.
Well, on that note, gagging, I would like to say thank you for listening to our podcast where you probably gagged at all the terrible things we've said. That wasn't a joke. I'm going to start
It
again.
was almost a
Okay,
joke.
so
Can we
I'm-
make that the tagline of the podcast? That was almost a joke.
Okay, I'm going to start that part again. So on that note, I would like to thank everyone for listening to this podcast. And if you like it, make sure to show it to a friend. If hopefully they'll like it. And
If you don't like it,
Chances are.
yeah,
No.
and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And hopefully, whenever we get it up and running, iTunes and Spotify.
Once we learn what an RSS feed is.
And yeah.
really sophisticated
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
Really sophisticated sandwiches.
All right, podcast over. Go home.